Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the new episode of today, Tech Tuesday, where we discuss technology and innovation related to digital money. If you like this format, please like and share it with your network, and make sure to subscribe to our channel to receive our content. I'd like to start by thanking our standard members and say that at the end of the episode, you have time to questions from the audience. So please, you can pose then in the YouTube chat box. I'm pleased and honored to have Antoni, Aleph Zero co-founder, Jakub, Aleph Zero Scrum Master, and Julian, idOS co-founder. So thank you so much for being here. Our topic today is privacy and compliance, and our guests will make some demos of the latest Aleph Zero tech updates, including the solutions, Shoulder, Common, and idOS. So together, these innovations highlight how Aleph Zero combines privacy, security, and compliance to support next generation digital currencies. So with no further ado, I'd like to hand over to you, Antoni, Jakub, and Julian.
Awesome. Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, we're gonna start with the overview of what we've been building essentially for the last couple of months with Common, which is a frankly speaking, if you break it down, it's a unified front end that connects all protocols that eventually can turn it into something that we call an OpenFi app. So how do you take the concept of, for instance, personal banking, personal finance, and make it more usable within crypto in a way where you can onboard conventional users beyond the crypto industry as well. Happy to be here. With Jakub, we've been working together for a while now. We're in the same organization. Julian is from a partner organization, started with Fractal, and now with idOS. He's a co-founder of both, and we're gonna share some slides. Just give us 1 second. I'll set it up. Maybe you could introduce yourself as well.
Maybe I use the time to also say hi. Yeah, as Antoni was already saying, I'm Julian, one of the co-founders of the Identity Operating System. We are very much married to the idea of bringing decentralized identity into the Web3 space and beyond. My background is actually like long time ago in banking. I was in Frankfurt at Deutsche Bank. And so bringing technology and specifically open source into finance is something that I'm extremely excited about. The concept of OpenFi, so having an open source, self-custodial, permissionless, innovative ecosystem is something that is quite exciting. We feel that we'll have kind of neobanks that can just instantly scale worldwide by using different modules, but these modules need to be connected. The users need to be bridged between different neobanks, different kind of like plugins. And this is what we're helping with idOS. And so we're collaborating with Common to make that happen.
Yep.
All right. Antoni, over to you.
Thank you, sir. And this is a bold statement, but frankly speaking, this is what we're eventually going for. So is it possible to have crypto being used in daily lives, ideally in a self-custodial way? And this is pretty much what Common is trying to solve. Next slide, please. essentially, this is a little bit of a break. I know that probably a lot of you folks are from Frankfurt, but Berlin has this amazing Vietnamese place that we visited together with Julian, and Julian brought an idea of, hey, why don't we just build an open source? Well, maybe not necessarily a bank, but a bank equivalent. And if you think about this, you can practically put together various blocks and pieces and essentially take whatever the industry has developed so far with lending protocols, with different DEXs, put it all in a very nice front end that could be a mobile front end, add cards to it, add IBANs also, and frankly speaking, just provide users with better opportunities with some security risks, especially related to protocol hacking and so on. But as the industry matures and as the security matures, we believe that this is going to be a very viable direction. Next slide, please. So that's pretty much it. Currently, a lot of ecosystems work as more or less isolated islands. We've got different challenges related to interoperability, although with solutions like Across and with cross-chain intents, the jumping from one chain to another, especially if it's supported by, say, liquidity networks rather than classic bridges, this is becoming way more convenient for the end user, therefore enabling app developers like ourselves to work on something that in a relatively short amount of time should be undistinguishable on the front end from custodial solutions. We're still not there yet, but it's quite clear that this is where not only ourselves, but also the entire app layer of the crypto space is going. Next slide, please. Yeah, and Jakub is going to talk a bit more about the specific features that are going to make it into V1 of Common, and after that, you're going to have a better idea of what we're pushing for. But just quickly, what it's powered by? It's powered by practically our custom technology with client-side zero knowledge proving that we're calling Aleph Zero zkOS. And here, to whoever's in the audience, we would love for you to go to common.fi/shielding and try a very specific feature, which is essentially shielding tokens. So Aleph Zero at its core aims to solve on-chain privacy. And with this shielding feature, it's the first or one of the fastest implementations of client-side ZK that you can see on the market as of today. And that's it from me. Now over to Jakub to cover the specific features of Common.
So hello, everyone. What I would like to focus on is, well, the features of Common, especially that we're thinking of Common as the place where crypto meets with personal finance. And to accomplish this vision, we need three things. First one is discretion. When you use your tokens, your assets, you probably don't want everyone to know what exactly you're doing, especially as crypto moves from the place where it is mostly for investing and some niche industry to an industry that is on the forefront of innovation. So what discretion does is it allows you to use crypto as a backend for your finances. So, for example, currently, if you use a wallet, even with cards and banking features, the problem is that, for example, if we go for lunch and I will owe you some money, you will send me your address to give back some tokens. From the moment I have your address, I will be able to know what you're doing, what you were doing, what you were investing in, what you were buying, and what you will be doing in the future. So as they say, money likes silence, and private accounts are exactly this. We're allowing you to be private because we believe that sharing data should be a choice. And this goes for anyone that you interact with, including other institutions and stores that you go to with your crypto. Second thing that is important for personal finance application is that you want to grow your assets. You don't want to use an application that holds your assets and they just wait there and without kind of providing yield for you, right? So this is where smart yield comes into place. We want to provide users that are new to crypto and that might not be interested in learning about all of the protocols, or the users that are deep into crypto, but they have some assets that they don't want to manually manage, because managing assets in crypto, let's be honest, is a time-consuming thing. You need to read a lot, learn a lot, and yield is very volatile. The protocol that you were in yesterday that had a high APY today might have very little APY. So you need to check it constantly and rebalance your portfolio. So with the smart yield features, what we provide is basically an automation. It will be an automated strategy that looks at different yield opportunities on different chains in different protocols, and automatically rebalances the portfolio to provide the highest APY possible in EVM ecosystem. And the third thing that is vital for if we're talking about personal finance apps is that you want to use your assets. You want to spend them. We need to provide integration with traditional finances. So this is where cards come in. If you earn assets in crypto, you can spend them directly at your store. You can use it in the most natural way that we use every day, right? So with a card, a physical card, with Google Pay, Apple Pay, and you can earn cash back on each transaction that you do on chain, right? With the credit cards. And second part of like traditional finance integration is bank accounts. This feature allows you to easily on-ramp and off-ramp from crypto, basically using your crypto as your bank account, where you are able to send transfers from crypto to fiat and from fiat to crypto directly with the tools that you know and understand and that integrate to any other apps that you might be using currently. And all of that is backed by Aleph Zero zkOS, which provides the privacy features that we talked about. And the important feature here is, one feature is obviously privacy, but the second one is compliance, because you don't, you want to make sure that the system that you're using for privacy will be valid over a long time, with crypto becoming a mainstream proposition and different jurisdictions starting to regulate it, right? So Aleph Zero zkOS is at the forefront of it, providing compliance solutions for privacy, right? And what is best of all of these features that we're building here, I think, is that all of the fees that we generate in Common and Aleph Zero go back to the community. So we have two tokens, Aleph Zero and Common, and all of the fees from privacy that we generate via all of the interactions will go back to the token holders that engage with the privacy protocols and help us build that, right? Same goes with the NFTs that are provided, that are collected through the common protocol. They go back to the community of holders that vote in the protocol. So you can use our wallet just for our app for your personal finances. You can use it for crypto on any supported chain. You can also participate in the protocol itself by buying the token and engaging. And with that, I will give the voice to Julian to discuss more the compliance and the idOS part of the whole system.
Yeah, thanks. So after an interesting part, I'm going to turn very much to the back end and compliance and identity questions. If you are a nerd like I am, then this will be quite interesting. If not, trigger warning here, you'll have lots of compliance parts. So I allowed myself to record a video of a demonstration of how the idOS works. What you're seeing here is common. We were able to mess a little bit with the common front end to just show the feature. Quick disclaimer here, this is to show that it works. It is not the best UX. This is what we're working on now, but whatever you're seeing here is something that I presented at DEF CON 2 weeks ago, and that is actually live. And that's something that I'm quite excited about, because in our view, we urgently need to have an identity layer that users control, but that is also accessible and available. So this is what I'm about to show you. You have here some identity-gated functions, like, picture the shielder having an identity gate for very large transactions. And I'm just making this up. This is obviously on A0 to do it. So now I actually went through KYC process. This can link out or be implemented with any type of KYC provider. Here we use SumSub, which is one of the most widely used. I'm also using just a fake document, but as you can see, in a little while, I'm actually using my real face. So far, understandable, I guess. You guys have done that multiple times, way too many times, because every time you're using a different provider, you need to re-KYC. But now the magic happens. What happens here is that we are creating a user encryption key, private public key pair, using passkeys. You can also use different ways of doing it. For example, an MPC solution called LIT, or just the typical password method. And we're actually in the background setting up an idOS account. What is that? It's an account in basically a decentralized storage that is user controlled and privacy preserving, because it's not public. So here you're back and you're actually unlocking your data with that passkey to grant access to that data to Common, to be able, in this theoretic scenario, to execute your very large transaction for it to be shielded, for it to be private. And maybe this already answers some of the questions that you might have had when Jakub was presenting it, is how can we make sure this is also compliant? How can we bring open source innovation into finance while making sure that we actually comply with the existing regulation that we have? And this is the answer. There's a lot more that you can use identity for. We have this very specific use case because we feel it's the biggest pain point. So what we're doing here is we are taking the data and enabling the user to encrypt it with a public key of the recipient, in this case, common. And that credential is being shared. And here, common is actually fetching it directly from one of the nodes, authenticating themselves, and being able to retrieve and decrypt that information because they obviously hold private key to the public key that it was encrypted against. So now they went to the card and you want to sign up for that card, right? So instead of having to go through another KYC process, what you just saw is enough to actually grant access and to conduct like a full KYC process. The difference here is we're not talking about like a ZK KYC where you just have the proof of the KYC being done, but you actually as a recipient have access to the underlying data. And we've been for 7 years in the KYC and identity space in Web3 specifically to be able to build this, not just from a technical perspective, but also from a compliance perspective. So what happens right now is the same thing. The data is being fetched, it is decrypted, it's encrypted, it's a recipient's key, in this case, the OpenFi bank. We've already seen that which specific provider it will actually be. And it can be used to, in a compliant way now, ingest the KYC data. And very happy to talk more about the compliance aspect of it. This was a live demo. If you go on YouTube and you look for the OpenFi conference, I also did that live on stage. And what we're doing right now is to brush up the UX so that we actually just need 5 clicks and not 10. And that everything looks a bit nicer, but everything in general works. The data here is being stored in a federated network with users having encrypted their information. So even though you are running one of these nodes, you will not be able to see the data, but that data is always online, which is a very big difference to other solutions that are in crypto, in Web3, but also beyond Web3. For example, very prominently, the European Wallet Initiative, or German consortium approaches like what Veremi is doing, which we personally have a strong opinion towards, that it's going to be really hard to use that for important cases like that, like KYC, that require data availability. So yeah, this is what we're enabling with the idOS. As I said, identity is much larger than just KYC, but all the other use cases like Sybil protection, bot prevention, proof of humanness can be subsumed under such a data privacy compliant and even financially system that also works for financially regulated entities. But once you just work for like bot prevention, you might not be able to solve that use case that we feel is very important to be solved, to bring crypto into and Web3 and open source for that matter, into traditional finance.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much for the presentations and for the demo. We do have some questions. Perhaps you can start with the Shielder. So this more general one, and then we have one it's a more technology and implementation. So the general one, what differentiates the Shielder from other privacy preserving solutions? And the more technology one, if does the Shielder rely on zero knowledge proofs? And if so, how are they applied? Who wants to start?
Okay, I guess I can take the general one, and then Jakub can dive a bit more into zk. Like the high level idea was that if you look at the Shielder is basically a privacy pool, so it's our name for a privacy pool. And we had the Tornado Cache implementations, we have Railgun, there are various different privacy technologies on the market, they face three fundamental challenges that we think are stopping or maybe not helping with mainstream adoption. So the first would be lack of just interchain by nature. So you have one privacy pool per chain. There are some security assumptions that just make this design let's say optimal from a security standpoint. But then again, it's about what do we think user wants more? Do they want better UX or do they want better security? And in our case, we think that we did manage to create a design that is interchain and secure enough while not compromising on the UX. So that's the first thing. Second is the speed of proof generation. So we've managed to go below 1 second when it comes to just shielding tokens on standard mobile devices. And if you combine these two, what effectively happens is that you end up with a if you want to use that, you end up with a single account for all supported EVM networks. And supported, what we mean by that is that whether they are connected to Hyperlane or across. And it's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna give it to Kochik.
Yeah, so for the proving part, so because this is we have a privacy pool, so all of the tokens, right, are in one big pool. You need a way of proving that you can that some of these tokens belong to you and that you have the rights to execute some transactions, to execute some actions with the tokens, right? So we do what is called client-side proving. So your wallet, either the browser extension or the mobile app, is able to, based on your recovery phrase, like your private key, is able to generate proofs to the Schiller protocol that you are the owner of some specific amount of tokens, and you're able to execute an action, for example, to send it to unshield it and send it to a public account, or in the future there will be additional things that are possible, right? Like private transfers from one private account to another private account. Yeah, not sure if that is answering the question. If you are interested in more in deep tech, how we apply like the ZK proofs and Merkle trees and things like that, I think we can find some literature that to provide. I think this is my level of understanding at this moment. Yeah.
Thanks, Jakub. Yeah, afterwards you can also link some materials in the description box. I'm guessing we have some developers also watching us. So how easy is it for developers to integrate the Shielder into their applications? So as far as I understood, this is native for Common, right? But if some developer want to integrate this in other applications, so how easy?
I will maybe take this one. So Common is the first application built on zkOS, and this is where we kind of figure out how this connection should work, and we build SDK for this purpose. This SDK is already works, and we talk to some developers to how they can use it in their apps. If you want to use it in a wallet, there is I mean, of course, it will be possible by like the features are there for Common, and for other use cases, for example, for AI agents that would be able to operate it, like you could use it as well. I mean, the zkOS will be the open source protocol, and SDK will be there. It probably the documentation and kind of cleaning it up for everyday developer to use will not be available this year, but this is the direction that we're taking, that we want to have an SDK that is available for the developers.
Okay, great. We have one that I think it's more for Julian. What differentiates identity layers like idOS and WorldCoin, for example?
The storage. We are decentralized storage. I am not too familiar with how WorldCoin stores identity these days. I think they're just storing attestations on chain, and I'm not sure where they're storing the actual information, if they're even storing it. But usually what you see in the market is identity wallets. Been very old, been around for a long time. But the problem is if the user is offline, then so is their data. And there are legitimate use cases for when you still want to use that data. And you do not want to have a centralized backend where you store that data once you receive it from the user when he or she is in front of the computer using your application, where you actually, as a user, want to store it for a longer time, but still want to remain in control. And so this is, to my knowledge, the idOS is the only application that is, similar to IPFS or StoreJ or Arweave, a place where you can store user information though, because we are compliant with data privacy laws. This is not just something that we just want to be compliant, but we really believe in it because we think that users should be in control. They should be able to say, I want my data deleted. And we have a proof of state that allows us to make sure this actually happens, because the protocol makes sure that every node runs on the same state of data. Meaning if I tell one node to please delete it, propagate it in the network, I can be sure that it's being followed.
Thank you. So you mentioned, I think you mentioned at the beginning, Antoni, the difficulty with this privacy, so the poor UX. So the user need to learn how to use it, and this should be native, and the user don't think in this at all. Perhaps you can elaborate more in the challenges that we see. So you mentioned this poor UX, but you also have another challenges. I know that you mentioned this in your speeches. So the distribution, the incentives, and the compliance.
Yeah. Thank you. So we're definitely not the first to tackle the privacy problem, right? Because Zcash has been doing an amazing work ever since the inception, and it's absolutely an OG privacy project. Railgun has been pushing a lot, especially on the mobile side, and let's say we're another counterparty trying to solve the same problem, meaning that the lack of on-chain privacy problem, just in a bit of a different way. Because what we're trying to prioritize is two things, let's say. First is the end user relationships with common. So how do you get privacy adopted? How do you make sure that privacy becomes the standard in your on-chain life? And what we're betting on is that it's not going to be because of privacy. So if we look at Web2, then DuckDuckGo has, I think, less than 1% share in the overall browser market. We do use VPNs, but it's not something that is like your first thought after you buy a laptop. Then privacy in the context of big tech, we sell our privacy in order to have more convenience and so on and so forth. And the thing is, how do we kind of try and make sure that Web3 or crypto or our on-chain identities are just better protected before all this happens in crypto? And the idea is that, okay, let's just build a very simple, very easy to use app that people can use with the existing stuff, so that they just download the app. They have everything they need, or at least what we assume they might need in their daily lives. And that makes their both on-chain and off-chain life better. So like one of the features that Jakub mentioned is this smart yield, right? This is not necessarily new because yield aggregators have been around for years now. But if you try and use them, that's when the problem happens, because you have to understand what different pairs are for. You have to understand like how this works. You have to download a third-party wallet from somewhere. And all we want is to just make it extremely simple so that the user can go in, benefit from third-party yields from Aave or Compound or whatever else in a private way, and then be able to use those benefits in a real world scenario. And that's it. It's like a super simple idea, and we think that if this is delivered in a proper way, it could be quite interesting for the end user. And the second sort of channel of how we're trying to solve privacy is what Jakub mentioned, which is basically enabling or helping developers to use this interchain privacy concept in their own applications. Like one of them is that's going to be the closest to deployment is the private voting one.
Okay, thank you. We have one here. It's a kind of theoretical question. So what's the difference between anonymous and pseudonymity? So I'm guessing that, yeah, the person is comparing the common solution, yeah, with the other blockchain apps. Yeah.
So the anonymity, all crypto works on anonymity, right? When you create the first time you create a new account, you have this new pseudonym that is like these numbers and letters that represent your identity on chain. And so the anonymity is great as long, like depending on the use case, right? But when we talk about privacy, it works as long as you don't identify yourself somehow with this pseudonym, right? So the first time you go to the store, or the first time you go to you send some money to a friend, someone that knows you personally, or even you do a set of actions on chain that are specific to you somehow, you lose these benefits of the pseudonym. This works even where your identity is not discovered. But for example, you're a crypto whale, right? There's specific services and businesses that their whole thing is tracking people that are either have a lot of tokens and then seeing, like, looking at what exactly they're doing and either copying it or kind of trying to extract some information out of this, or they're looking for people who have or accounts that have successful trading strategies to, of course, as well copy it or somehow look for opportunities to gain some advantage against them, right? So the anonymity works great as long as your account is not interesting enough, or it's not identified with your person specifically. Because when you lose that, everything else starts to become public information about you, right? So anonymity, on the other hand, is an ability to execute actions without the risk of these actions being attached to you specifically, right? So it's a stronger promise that it provides.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have two here. I think it's more related with the the industry, maybe with some regulation. So what the whole do you see for the Shielder and the solutions in general in shape the future of decentralized finance and Web3?
Maybe I'll try this as well, but not sure if you guys will want to add something after me. But I think that privacy and shielding your assets and it's not an option, it's a necessity. When the crypto becomes more mainstream and people start using it for personal finance, big industry players come into crypto, the privacy, I think, will become the second backbone of crypto, next to obviously decentralization and the ledger part, right? Like so because as I mentioned in a slides part in the talk, I think money likes silence. So for the long-term sustainable use cases in crypto, privacy will be a key aspect. So yeah, I think that will be this is also the part that holds back crypto from really. I mean, I know that we're in a good market right now, but I think we're still held back from much more money coming into crypto and really this industry blooming because of lack of privacy.
Okay. Yeah, this is for you, Julian. So about the idOS consortium, also related with foster the ecosystem. So could you please elaborate it more on the consortium and how this will foster the development of this DeFi ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So what we did is we tried to get not just funding, but also support and alignment from multiple actors in the scene, right? And Aleph Zero being one of them, with Circle, Nia, Gnosis, Arbitrum, etc., to only name a few, that said, all right, we are all running into the same problem, that we do need some form of identity, that we need KYC resharing because no one wants to re-enter the whole information again if they're just using a different plugin. And we want to break out of the on-chain world into traditional finance. And so this is why they came on board. Of course, there are slightly different motivations for doing so and different applications. I think Aleph Zero is with Common probably one of the ecosystems that is furthest along in terms of really embracing the OpenFi stack. But for example, Ripple has traditionally more of an access towards like bigger institutional clients, right? But yeah, the thing that motivates me a lot is that we talk to potential integrators that have millions of users, and we're saying, well, we are solving that, and we believe that you will be running into that problem because you will be integrating different financial modules as time goes by, and they come back to us and they tell us, well, we already have this problem today. And we feel that we're at the right place at the right time. But we do need to bring it live, it needs to be secure, and it needs to be great for the user as well and be smooth. That's what we need to brush now.
Yeah, so you mentioned this, it's really difficult to bring it all together. It's a kind of, you need to harmonize different systems. Do you see any regulatory challenges for this for the growth of this the solutions and for the ecosystem itself?
So of course, regulation is one of the major challenges that we face next to the technical problems and needing to also include a great UX, right? So it is a super complex endeavor to really solve that for something that feels just like a tiny part in that whole stack, but it's just so integral. The approach that we have is that we are never banking on changing regulation. For example, zk tech for privacy is amazing, but you do need to have that underlying data in the first place to be able to potentially show it and to also use it to compute things on top of it, right? And this is something where we feel some providers with the idea of like how would it work in an ideal world are jumping the fence a little bit and ignoring the current status quo, where I'm actually quite certain that we will converge towards it, but only in like 10 years from now. So I want to build something that works today, that helps us today get more adoption. And this is what we've always kept in kept top of mind. So it works. It does work today. To be more specific, we're talking about a passporting regime that we can make use of and a fallback option for where a direct passporting doesn't work. For example, you cannot passport from a European obliged entity into a US obliged entity. But as a user, you can already share kind of a fully ready data package that then on the receiving end needs to still be counter-checked. But it still, for the user, feels a lot better than having to re-enter that information again. So that we have all cases covered. And this is what we set out to do, to have that 80% solution that works, that ideally feels like magic.
Great. We do have some questions related to the future development and ecosystem. So yeah, perhaps what is the roadmap for the solutions and expansion? And if are there plans to collaborate with other blockchains or ecosystems?
So for Common, next month we will have two releases: the first version of Common mobile app and the browser extension. Browser extension is the release will be interesting because this will be the first time when we showcase the privacy working on the mainnet. Then in Q1, we will be still working on the privacy to kind of make sure that we have additional audits, make sure that everything is up to snuff, that we can at the end of Q1 like really say that we this is it. You can use it. You don't have to worry. This is and in the meantime, we will working on the mobile app and the extension to provide you with more features. So the model that we have for the next year is to try to find have a lot of features building up to something big released often. So when you will be looking at our updates, you can expect that every month there will be something new. So yeah, we start from these two apps and we kind of build up with common yield, the smart yield feature coming up a couple of months into the 2025. Also the interchain shielding, unshielding happening around a similar time, as well as the cards, the IBANs, everything is coming up soon. As for the cooperations, what we want to integrate to is the EVM ecosystem with the both apps. So this is coming for sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now it's running in the testnet, and you mentioned that next month you'll be in the mainnet.
So yeah, December is already privacy on mainnet with the browser extension and the first release of the mobile app as well.
Great, great. Yeah, we are approaching the end. Yeah, so I'd like to ask you to give in your closing remarks.
Maybe I start with it. We've been, or I mean, I know that the Aleph Zero team has been on it for even a little bit longer, but I've been working in Web3 since 2017, and I would have thought that we would be further than we are today as an industry, mostly in terms of wide-scale adoption of useful cases. I specifically came in to bring open source into finance, and what really motivates me beyond all the noise that is happening out there is that this is actually happening now, and that you see a clear roadmap to having something that is better on a magnitude scale. We're talking about today even having the ability, and not just the theoretical ability, but this is what applications are already doing, to scale a neobank Europe-wide with a bank integration partner, with a card integration partner, and it becomes 10 times cheaper, it's 10 times faster, and it's kind of close to a browser moment where we do not know what people will be building with it. And it's so exciting. We're kind of witnessing the birth of a new industry, an industry that is really ripe for the taking. Like if you're looking at the gross margins of those ranked by industry, there's the saying, show me your margin and I show you my business opportunity. This is it. The last time we've seen it at that scale is with publishers and the distribution of information. And this is happening, and it's happening as we speak. And it's just exciting to be a part of it. And I think that Common will play a big part, definitely in Europe and probably also beyond.
Yeah, and we couldn't be more happy to have, through thick and thin, Julian has been extremely supportive, and his team as well. And we have this the internal joke that like where people were talking about Bitcoin years ago, and it was essentially the be your own bank saying. Internally, we're using be your own neobank for Common, and essentially trying to make crypto as usable as possible to the widest group of people, but in a self-custodial and open source way. So more than happy to also have Julian in our corner to handle identity and compliance, and idOS is a completely separate project that is actually quite amazing. And full disclosure, Aleph Zero as a foundation is also one of the backers of the project. So definitely, if you have a moment, please check out both idOS and Common.
Yeah, it will be hard to follow up after you guys, so I will hit a different note maybe a little bit. I hope that with Common, we will be kind of in the avant-garde of figuring out user experience and the TradFi integration. But I'm also very excited to see in the next months and years what other developers, especially when we provide like the SDK for the Shielder, what others will be building on top of the privacy that we didn't even think of as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Antoni, Julian, and Jakub. You have many fans. I'm reading here the chat. So yeah, people loving you. Thank you so much for the discussion. Really insightful and illuminating. And a big thanks to the audience who actively participated. If you enjoy this content, so please like this video and share with your networking. See you at the next episode at the DEATT Tech Tuesday. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Samara. Bye, everyone.